Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Enter the Ether, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person MOBA Ethereal Clash of Souls. I'm your host, the one and only Mangoose. Joining me, as always, is my friend and co-host, JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
I don't think you took a single breath through that entire
I tried
intro.
not to. I tried my best not to. I was like, let's get it all out in one go.
I'm doing great, Mangoose. I'm happy to be here, man. How are you?
doing good. A little out of breath now, but I'm fine. So we're going to be discussing a couple things here. We've seen a lot of the kits. We've seen a lot of the myths. I keep trying to say heroes. They're myths. We've seen a lot of those kits and we've kind of gotten a hint of the other 7 that will be in the alpha. But there's some stuff that's missing. There's some pretty standard MOBA things that we don't see, and that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Jelly, take it away.
I mean, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. There's like the big one that I think a lot of people recognize is missing from the game currently is a true tank.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like of the initial pre-alpha 7, there is nobody that is just a tank. Like that's their deal, is to be tanky. And really out of the first 15, the only person that looks most like a tank is Grognark.
Right.
But we don't know for sure that that's the case either.
And he's supposed to be a berserker, and the knights are supposed to be the tanks. So we have Talos, who is definitely a more bruisery than tanky. Oh, yeah. And then we have Acheron, which I'd also see probably being more bruisery than tanky. They've mentioned several times that they want things to, like if you have a shield, then that shield should be able to block. If you have wings, then you should be able to fly. Acheron has a big-ass two-handed sword. I don't see that blocking much of anything. I mean, I guess, but I would think that a tank in Ethereal would include some sort of shield or big-ass armor or just be big, like Grognark. But Grognark's supposed to be a berserker. He's not supposed to be a knight.
Which that poses an interesting question in and of itself, of like the classes breaking their class mold, like a marksman that doesn't go in the duo lane, or a support that is rather a cleric that's a jungler, right? Like eventually I could definitely see that happening for them. It seems like Grognark being the second berserker in the game to break the mold seems a little early.
Yeah, I think.
But one big one for you is a hook myth.
Yeah, where's our fat hooker? Every MOBA has one. Every MOBA, even Heroes of the Storm has one. They got Stitches. Throws out his big old hook. That's just a very cliche thing, and nobody. Not in the original. We didn't see a hook in any of the original kits. And is Axial going to hook people? I don't think so.
No.
And ain't none of them fat. We need some fat guys. Fat guys or fat gals.
But yeah, with 15 people that we know about so far and having images of the first 15, none of them look like fat hookers to me, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. The only one I could see maybe, and it even depends on if it's still a thing, is Grace with her mech. Could have a hook.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's a long shot at best, no pun intended. But like, it's just, I don't know.
Grace is a cleric, and usually hooking is a supportive ability.
She could. Her mech, though, from what we've seen, doesn't have like any hook or claw or
doesn't have like a grappling hook that she could fire out and snag people.
It's a harpoon gun. She just over the shoulder, Johnny 5, just boop, and there we go.
That would be awesome. I would love that if Grace was their fat hooker.
All right, UG, 10% for us if we called right that Grace has a hook attached to her mech.
We're always claiming the 10%. Now, one of the ones you brought up that just amazed me that it wasn't there and that I didn't notice, there's no long-range CC. There's no long-range stun. There's no stasis bomb or what have you.
Yeah, everything, all the CC, with exception of Marina's Charm, which is fairly short range from what Skifter said.
Yeah.
Everything that's CC is you have to be on top of the person to do it.
I wonder if that's by design.
That was my exact thing, is I wonder if that's an intentional choice that they're making, that long range CC is Marina's Charm, right? Like it is that actually short range equivalent to it. But it could be. I mean, the only other person that I could see of the 15 we know about that would have a long range form of CC is Kalia. And that's partly because other MOBAs having that Nine-Tail Fox usually has some kind of charm ability, and it's usually a decent range.
And I think there was, God, what was that voice line? It said, one of them was, I think it was one of Exile's voice lines saying, don't stare directly at Kalia because she'll charm you or some shit.
Yeah. Something, yeah, absolutely. There is a voice line that says among those lines. So she could have the first long range CC. I mean, again, a hook myth would be, so if Grace's mech actually has a hook, it's technically long range CC.
Yeah.
We would need something though.
Yeah, I mean, I see so many options for it too, like holding someone in place for like CCing them just before Iran charges in would be super deadly, but vice versa, CCing Iran before he can grab somebody would be great without having to be on top of him. Or Talos seems to be kind of the CC monster right now, but
even then it's mostly slows.
Yeah.
And he's got the one knockup, but everything else will slow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's weird that there's no range.
range.
There's no range stun. It's so weird.
Which is crazy. That truly surprises me that it's that way. I'm trying to think though, in Paragon with the initial roster, did we have a ranged
Decker?
CC? Oh, that's true. She was in the beginning. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's definitely missing. I mean, this next one is another big one that surprised me that we don't have yet, is a true assassin.
Mm-hmm.
A burst AD assassin doesn't exist in the game currently from what we know. The only
Malaya seems very much centered on sustainability and
she's more DPS than
defeating
anything.
CC, yeah.
Exactly. But there's no like, get in, do a ton of damage, get out character in the game yet. The only person that maybe could fit that mold is Exiel of the 15 we know.
Yeah.
Because he's got the dual swords there. So I could see him going in, slashing really fast and getting the heck out of dodge. And with the weird shadow form, however that works out. But past him, the 15 we know, there's no real assassin that I can see in there.
He is a Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, I hope so, because I kind of hope so and I kind of don't, because I hate getting bursted down out of nowhere by an assassin. But it's kind of
like we've been playing against Countess in Fault recently, where we've been getting bursted 100-0 instantaneously.
I'm telling you, man, I went off-lane Richter and just shut that Countess down. She had no chance. She would shadow slip to me on silencer, and then like I would wait for her to freak out, shadow slip back, and I knew exactly where she was going to be. So my fat hooker Richter pulled her right back in for some more love.
So what I'm hearing is that if they're going to put an assassin in the game, we need a hook myth.
We need
at the
a
same
hook
time.
myth. Yes. They need to coincide.
There it is.
But I think you might be right. I think Exiel will probably be more of a bursty assassin than his sister Malaya.
Yep, completely. And the flip side of that coin is a burst mage. Now,
right.
Noxus is, with her archetypes, is listed as burst. I don't see her being burst in any way, shape, or form other than her ultimate.
Yeah, that's about it.
And that's it.
Everything else is damage over time, really.
Insane. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why her archetype is burst, because that's not it.
Yeah. Unless there's something we don't know.
Yeah, unless her ultimate does a ton of damage. She just presses R. Oh, well, you're just dead. There we go. Congratulations.
So the other options would be Kalia could be burst.
Mm-hmm.
Or Chief Akaika is the other mage that we know of.
Yep.
But I don't see Akaika being burst, even though he's very fire-based. I think he'll probably be more burn damage than anything.
Yeah, there might be some caveat to that. Like if you land 3 abilities, he does extra damage because of the burn or whatever.
Yeah.
Similar to what we see with Iran right now in the Immolate passive, something along those lines. That he deals more damage if they're already on fire.
Right.
I think we'll see a stronger version of that on Akaika, but I don't see him being burst either.
So I think Kalia is probably our best bet for a true burst mage.
Which a burst mage having a charm terrifies me.
Yeah. I was going to say
it's not a matter of
that kind of takes
like,
away the ability to put a
ability.
long-range CC on her, because you put long-range CC and burst. Ugh.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds terrible. I really hope that's not the case.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yep, exactly. Your next one, I'm sure will piss off a lot of people.
There's no Wukong.
Yep.
Wukong is in every single MOBA, even if the only one it actually makes sense in is Smite. But every other fucking MOBA has Wukong or some semblance of Wukong. Again, here's the Storm. They don't have Wukong, but they have a Wukong skin for somebody that splits up into shadow clones and shit and is a split push monster, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing that seems to be pretty consistent in every MOBA too, is he's got the shadow clones. Of course, that's tied to his lore. But he's an excellent split pusher for whatever reason. Is that's been the decided thing for him? Is like, oh, you know what? He just split pushes. There we go. Congrats. I think what they need to do. You know what, UG? I'm giving you the pass to use a Paragon asset. Just grab Wukong from Paragon, stuff him into Ethereal. I'm sure it'll be fine. Nobody will have any problems with that.
If they could put him into Ethereal, but have him just be a minion that doesn't fight back, and I could just kick it in the dick repeatedly until it dies, I am totally on board. If somebody wants to make that game, I'll buy it. Like, there's nothing else but you just kicking Wukong in the crotch over and over again.
I'll just go into the Paragon subreddit and just post, I just made this. It's $2 on Steam. Here we go.
Oh, you'd make instant $1 million right Me and you, let's do this. I know how to work the assets a little bit. You just figure shit out because you're JellyKnees. We can do this. We can make it happen.
I'm down. I'm so game. We'll make a little bit of money. Fun to eat for now to the future. I love it.
Oh, let's call it Kit Kong.
All right. If anybody else is making this, we claim 10%. Our idea.
Yeah.
There we go.
Consider this our trademark right now.
Yep, there it is.
Oh.
Yep. So the other one is a stealth myth.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any Kalaris in the game, which I want my Kalari in the game. Thank you very much.
So again, there's no burst assassin. There's no stealth. I would think Exiel could fill both of those because he does have like his shadow form. Maybe he slips into his shadow self. Sneaks up behind somebody and then unleashes the swords.
Now that's my new headcanon for Exiel, that his shadow is some kind of stealth of some sort, right?
Yeah.
The ethereal version of stealth. I would absolutely love to see that. Also kind of scary, though, that your stealth hero is an assassin.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a little terrifying, but, you know, if we're going to have a long-range CC on Kalia the Burst Mage, that's fine, whatever.
I find, though, that in most MOBAs, the stealth hero is a burst assassin. Loki in Smite, Kalari in Paragon.
Yeah. It seems another one of those things that's just the traits we tied to stealth is equals bursting.
Burst, yeah. Again, I'm going to harken back to Heroes of the Storm. You got Valera and Zeratul, both bursty assassins that stealth. It seems like that's the way everybody wants to do stealth assassins, is for them to be bursty.
If you turn invisible, you do lots of damage. That's the only.
Whenever you pop out of there, and you're
it's an easy flow chart.
And you're only going to have a slip of health. You're not going to have any health though. So
that's true.
Could you imagine how frightening a stealth Sky Slayer would be? Like,
oh god. You just hear the wings flapping, but they're invisible. Oh god. That would be a tilting thing, just to hear them. I would just float above people's lanes, just flapping my wings, just so they knew.
Like, is he doing anything? Where is he? What do you think that they should, if they do stealth? If they do stealth, do you think it should be like the shimmer effect or just actual true invisibility?
I think that depends on how they want to approach the stealth mechanic as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Paragon had the stealth realm, right? That or the shadow realm, shadow plane. That's the word I'm looking for. And I actually really love that idea that everything that's invisible is on the same plane of existence.
Right.
And so invisible wards can see invisible things. And that kind of caveat, I think, is fine to do true invisibility. But I think if you're not going to give options to find them or not easily accessible options to find them, you have to do some kind of shimmer effect. Or proximity. I know like League does proximity based.
Right.
So the closer they get to you, the more visible they become, and you get a little indicator over your head that there's somebody nearby.
One thing I would really like to see, I didn't understand, it threw me off so much with Kalari and Paragon, is I would think that hitting someone that is true stealth with a basic attack should reveal them. Just automatically. It should pull them out. Hitting them with anything should pull them out of stealth. I didn't like that Kalari could just run. You could peg Kalari 3 or 4 times if you were really good at knowing where she was going to go, and she would just be in stealth and still get away.
Yeah, and as long as there's no way for them to actively re-stealth, right? If it's like a toggle or something that they have to shimmer down, they get hit, they come out, they can immediately reactivate, is fine. But if they're stealth and you hit them, there needs to be some kind of removal of that stealth for sure.
Simmer down. All right, so that's stealth. Now, another sort of MOBA trope that you see a lot is mounted myths. Whether they are able to dismount or remount or what have you, kind of negligent, but you usually see somebody that's riding on something that gives them like a bit of a movement speed boost over everybody else. We don't see that in Ethereal. Not yet. And
really none of the 15 fit that mark other than maybe Grace with her mech. But even then I see that because the mech is so large, I wouldn't consider that rideable necessarily or mountable either way.
I don't think it's necessary that they have something like that in the game yet. But I think it's something we could probably expect in the future. Unless Grognark just lopes along on all we know that he's quadruped. Maybe he just lopes along on all fours a little faster than everybody else. That'd be kind of cool.
I'm telling you, Grognark just curls into a ball, rolls around the map as a rock ball, and it's going to be great.
That would be amazing. That has to be one of his abilities. God, I hope so.
He's going to be so slow, like outside of that, he'll be almost immobile. But when he's in ball form, he'll be Sonic, zooming around the map.
If you hold down and press the A button several times, he'll get faster and faster and then take off. That would be amazing.
I love it. Big fan. So, the next one is another trope that you see in almost every MOBA. A shapeshifter or form shifting of some kind.
Right.
Is you see really, really often in a lot of MOBAs that we really haven't seen in Ethereal yet, other than maybe the wolf myth, if he exists.
Yeah, we've just seen concept art of that.
Yeah. So if he still exists, that might be our first shapeshifter that we see of the guy transforming into the werewolf.
Right.
But if he isn't a Sky Slayer that flies around using his tail, I don't want him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've already killed that idea of him actually shapeshifting. We've already firmly established that the wolf does nothing but hand him swords and fly him around with his tail.
Exactly.
So.
So remind me, did Paragon have a shapeshifter or a form shifter? Wukong, I guess, technically.
Not really, though.
Because he had like his offensive versus defensive stance.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a half.
Yeah. Yeah, Paragon really didn't have a shapeshifter. I don't know of any that were planned either.
Yeah, which is one of the few MOBAs that doesn't have one of those or didn't have one of those.
Yeah.
So it's something we can definitely look forward to in Ethereal. I would love to see some kind of shapeshifter. And I think Ethereal's the perfect place to do that type of character as well.
Oh god, yeah.
Tie it into your class ability. I think you could do some really crazy stuff with that. Something I've had the thought of, and it kind of ties into this, is a class shifter myth.
Mm-hmm.
That they shift between two classes of some kind. They get reduced versions of both classes, but they can hybrid between the two. So if they're in their human form, they're a Reaper, and if they're in their wolf form, they're a Sky Slayer that flies around using their tail. Just giving you another way to fit that myth in there, UG.
Like in human form, they'd be able to scale walls, but in wolf form, they would be able to fly.
They'd be able to fly, yeah. And like I said, a reduced version, so either reduced stamina or they're not as effective or whatever it is, but gives you that switch opportunity to do different things with them at the same time.
Right.
Could be a cool idea, but could also be really broken really easily. So.
And you wouldn't be able to do it with clerics or knights because they have. Well, I guess you could do it with clerics because they pick their stuff from the beginning, their Ethereal path or whatever it's called. Is it knights with the Ethereal path and clerics have something else?
Clerics is Ethereal path. Knights have a journey. They go on a spiritual journey. I don't know.
A vision
I don't remember
quest.
What it's called now, but it's some kind of quest line that they have to follow, which I want more details on.
One we haven't really covered yet that we didn't even put in the document that I just thought of is there's nobody that controls like another entity. Like you usually have somebody that has like a dog or a bear or something that fights with them, and they can get some of the abilities are linked to that, or even controlling multiple entities. But
yeah, we don't have any like summoner or companion controlling myth of any kind. Another one we could easily see in Ethereal that I think could be super cool to see.
Again, the only one I can see it done on is Exial. We're putting a lot on Exial here, but he's got his shadow form.
Exial's going to be broken when he comes out because he's just going to be everything that we need in the game.
Perhaps you could control his shadow form outside of his regular form.
God, that sounds terrifying.
Have it attack stuff and switch back and forth between the two.
Overseer as well, is the Overseer is controlling smaller units somewhere else on the map.
Right.
So lots of potential there, I guess. And that's the thing I think with Ethereal more so than other MOBAs, is with this class system, they have that ability to really draft out some cool ideas for these myths. And they have an extra ability on top of that as well.
And hopefully we'll see a lot more inventive kits in the future than what we've seen for the initial 7. Yeah. For the Magnificent 7.
Yeah, I think the next set of 7 is going to show a little bit more of that variation, but still be fairly generic in that they kind of do what you expect.
Right.
And then past that, we're going to start seeing Grace with her mech, or a Kaika with whatever his burn is, or Wolfman flying around, or whatever it's going to be. Yara being the berserker, but she's this tiny woman with a hammer.
She didn't look tiny from her art, though.
Well, fit. How about that? Fit. She's not like the other berserkers, which is Grognark and Iran.
Right.
Or like this big hulking creatures. She's just a regular person with a hammer. So the other thing that we know is looking at the myths that we already have of the pre-alpha 7, there's only 4 archetypes we're missing out of that group because each one has 2.
Right.
We kind of talked about that Burst doesn't really fit Noxus, so it's one of those, like, it technically is on the list of what we have, but it's tentative. But we're missing Spy, so that kind of fits that stealth assassin type feel. So Exial, we talked about that. The Slayer is an assassin feel as well. So again, Exial fits the
Yeah.
Here we go. All 4 of these are going to apply to Exial. Here we go.
Well, I found the thumbnail for this week. Gonna be Exial.
But what about the next one, Mangoose? What do you think?
Juggernaut?
Yeah.
Always made fun of their definition of Juggernaut. I don't know. See, Talos seems like a Juggernaut to me. Like, it seems like he fits that bill, that he's gonna force his way into the middle of a team fight and stay there. Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, his ultimate is literally that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Of jumping in, and he's got the magic resist, or the armor and magic resist passive. Plus, he's got the kind of AoE bleed once he jumps in. He's got the knockup. He's got everything. He wants to be in the center of that fight for all purposes. So,
yeah,
I agree with you that Talos is that. The only other one I can see, just based on pure size and stature, is Grognark for the Juggernaut.
You can roll into a ball and roll into the middle of the team fight and stay there.
Yeah, I think this is great. Great plan. Great plan. Proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't think Iran really fits the bill for Juggernaut, even though I think he will be charging into the middle of people. He's going to want to divide the team instead of stick in the middle of the enemy team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the next one here, Sentinel. Is it Marina a Sentinel?
No, she's not.
It's just in her name.
90. Yeah, and I think they changed that because she's not a Sentinel, actually.
Okay.
I remember correctly, but I'm double checking. Marina is a Enchanter controller.
Okay.
So she's got the CC controlling area, and then she's got the Enchanter because of her bubble and her passive.
What did they say Sentinels would be? Is that...
That's what I'm pulling up now because I was ready, totally.
Yeah.
Sentinel is a high defense character that is naturally more defense-oriented than most other characters.
Okay, so
they're tankier than most other myths and cannot be killed easily through normal damage means. They're usually equipped with one or more defensive abilities to survive team fights, and they excel at soaking damage.
So that's our tank.
So
We
the
ain't
true
got
tank,
one.
yeah. And I expect that we'll probably see Grognark be the Juggernaut Sentinel combo.
Right.
That he fits kind of both of those bills, assuming he is the true tank like we expect him to be. He fits both of those pretty well, of wanting to be in the center and being able to just absorb damage throughout the game. Something I would love to see for Grognark is they mention in his voice lines, the line that almost makes me cry every time, is that he used to be a mountain, but now he is small, weak, afraid.
Yeah.
Right? Is I would love to see him grow in size the more armor and magic resist he has.
Oh, that would be cool. Like Severon.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just kind of over time, he just becomes this bigger and bigger rock. Oh, yeah. And when he rolls down the lane, he takes up the whole lane. Yes. Big fan. Do it. UG, please.
Oh, man, that would be cool. Again, I keep referring to Here's the Storm, but like Diablo gathers souls whenever he kills like minions or anything, and it makes him stronger and stronger and stronger. But once he has 100 souls, he can insta-res whenever he dies. But he comes back without those souls, and without those souls, he's really pretty fucking weak. Like, he's a monster when he's at 100 souls. I would like to see that with the Grognark. Like, he gets stronger and stronger and stronger, but if you kill him, he loses that stuff and kind of has to start over again.
Oh, that could be really cool.
So
that could be really cool.
He can turn into a mountain, but if you kill him, yeah.
And he's probably going to be a jungler for the most part. I don't see him being a laner in realistic form. Unless his abilities are really conducive for a lane, he's probably going to be a jungler.
Yeah.
Could be really cool to see him do that. Basically similar to a Ron's passive of collecting souls, but he collects terrain as he moves around or whatever.
Yeah. Collects terrain. Oh, he is a berserker, so every time he crushes something, yeah. I see where you're going. I see where you're going now.
I would love to see that. To see this hulking mass rolling around the map.
That would be Nidoruny. What's that game where you just roll up as a ball and then collect?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
crap.
It's like a Japanese name.
Yes.
That's
Dude,
Grognark.
I know what it is. I played the crap out of it as a kid too.
Yeah, it's a fucking great game.
That'll just be Grognark. He just rolls around picking up the terrain on the map.
Trees and all kinds of crap. That'd be amazing.
Got Grogbark. I mean, it could just be that skin wasn't actually a skin. That was in-game evidence of Grognark picking up trees.
Rolls off the side of the map, lands in Void Lane. Everything falls
Craters
off.
Where the obelisk is.
All right. Well, I think that's about all I had to talk about this week.
Yep.
Unless you had something.
Nope. Just those things. What do you guys think is missing? Talk in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, because I'm sure we're missing something, right? There's bound to be a couple of types that we're missing that we just didn't think about in this.
Blink heroes and all kinds of stuff.
Please don't make Blink heroes. Malaya's already broken enough.
Right on. Okay, Jelly, you got anything to plug this week?
YouTube videos. Lots of YouTube videos. We're releasing one every day this week. So we're cranking out some videos there.
Hooking it up. Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Mangoose?
Same thing. Just been doing a lot more YouTube than normal. I kind of slowed down a little bit because it was killing me. I put out too much at once. But yeah, I think that is going to be it. So like Jelly said, let us know in the comments below if you think anything is missing and if there's anything that you would like to see added to the game. And if you have any ideas about the stuff that we said was missing, if the rest of the lineup, if you think that any of them could fit the bill and in what way they could fit the bill. But until that happens, I hope you all join us as we enter the ether.